This is what's known as a turboprop engine, and that engine is a jet engine that drives a propeller on the front of the aircraft. Additionally, while we're here, we're looking at a number of other things, such as the structure of the aircraft, to determine whether or not we had any type of in-flight failure of any of the components of the aircraft. All right. We'll also be looking to see whether or not that was functioning, whether we had any type of fatigue of the metal, whether we had anything that came off the aircraft in flight, and also we'll be checking for fire and explosion. Now, with that information, I can also tell you some of the things that we've been doing today. First thing that we did was we came out, we did an oversight of the site itself, which is we basically walked the site. The site's 160 feet long, and from the initial impact point to where the main wreckage came to rest. All right. We've also measured the impact angle of the aircraft, and the impact angle is around 39 degrees nose down. All right. When it impacted the terrain, the first thing that it struck was corn, okay, in the field. Then there was a crater, and then the rest of the wreckage moved that 160 feet all the way till it came to rest. There is no sign of any type of fire or explosion. Now, what we know about the accident itself is this was a Piper PA-46 Matrix, Matrix. The airplane took off at around 7:58. What did you say?
It's a
Meridian. You're right. I just did a Matrix. The aircraft took off at around 7:58 Eastern time, okay, from Lancaster, and its destination was State College. It took off of runway 8. It was IFR, okay, it was on IFR flight plan, which means an instrument flight rules plan. And at the time, the weather conditions were 5 miles visibility and mist. The wind was 200 degrees at 3 knots. And there was a 400-foot broken ceiling, which means that about 400 feet above the ground is where the clouds were. Once it impacted the cornfield, okay, we were able to go ahead and determine after it came to rest that we did have all 4 corners of the aircraft. And what that means is that we had the tips of the tail, okay, both sides of the stabilizer, the top of the rudder and vertical stabilizer, and we also had the tips of both wings, which tells us that the majority of the wreckage is at this site. We also sat there and looked at a number of other items with it, and one of the things that we're going to be looking at are things like the pilot's flight physiology. We'll be looking at weather conditions, okay? We already talked about we'll be looking at the structure, we'll be looking at the systems on the aircraft, all right? And this will continue both in our laboratories, okay, and also at manufacturers. And with that, I have time for a few questions.
Were you guys here on scene of the Brethren crash, either one of you?
No.
A PFA was just granted against the pilot a couple of days ago. Is this any part of the investigation? Could this be ruled a suicide?
Okay, you have to educate me because I'm not from this state.
Protection from abuse of order.
No, but that's something we'll look into. Thank you.
Based on what you've seen so far, do you have any indication of what may have caused the crash at this point? Anything preliminary?
No. Everybody assumes that what we do is we look for what's wrong. In actuality, we look for what's right. Okay, so we confirm things. Like we confirm control continuity, we confirm that the structure is there, we make confirmation that the engine was running, we confirm that there's fuel, we confirm that the weather conditions were benign, we confirm, the pilot's flight physiology, in other words, what his physical condition was. And then we also sit there and we confirm that the systems were functioning normally. And by doing that, it's a process of elimination. And once we continue and we finish that process of elimination, then what happens is whatever's left, that's what we start looking at even deeper.
So to know that the plane has all 4, of its
Correct.
things, is that important for you guys, and does that help you with your investigation?
Yes, it does, because what happens is if we don't find all 4 corners of the aircraft, that means this is not the only accident site, that something came off the aircraft in flight. And right now we have no evidence of that.
Talk to me about the removal process. Is that going to be happening in phases? We saw them lift some things up, put it back down. What is that?
Yeah, so the wreckage is spread over that distance that I was telling you about before. And one of the things that happens is they've got to go ahead and make the aircraft roadworthy, so that way there are not portions of it that are sticking out into traffic before they move it. The other thing they're doing is they're trying to go ahead and make sure that they don't destroy any evidence while they're doing it, so that way once we move it to a secure facility, we'll be able to do what we call a 2D layout, which is we'll actually lay the aircraft out to scale, all right, and then we'll go ahead and examine it more in depth.
Have investigators been in touch with any witnesses to the crash?
Yes.
And how long do investigators expect to be at the scene here?
We'll probably be here through this evening, and then tomorrow we're also doing some more canvassing for witnesses and also gathering some more information locally.
After the plane gets removed from the crash site, do you guys continue to investigate the site where it is just without the plane?
No. What will happen is that'll be released to the owner.
You said there was no explosion or fire, correct?
That's correct.
Does that mean anything?
No, it just means that there was no explosion or fire.
What usually would cause a plane to crash shortly after takeoff?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, there are numerous things that can cause an aircraft to go down.
So really the cause and trying to determine causalities, that's part of the overarching view of what's going to be happening over the next 18 to 20 months, as you said.
That's correct. So what will happen at the end of the 18 to 20 months is we will end up putting out a report. Associated with that will be a docket of materials, which is evidentiary of what we found. And at the end of that 18-month period, the safety board, which are the 5 members that are appointed by the President of the United States, will issue a statement of probable cause. Now, at any time during that investigation, if we find anything that's of concern to the traveling public or the industry, such as the pilots, the manufacturers, air traffic control, the airports, etc., we can issue recommendations at any time. And with that, I have time for one more question, and I got to get back to work.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you
Very
very
good.
much.
Thank you.